Ahoy, hoy!
Here we are.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Outside the Cinema, your weekly source for cult movie discussion. Your hosts, Bill and Chris, here again for yet another week. Talking about 2024 releases that have the potential to be cult films down the road. And I think we have two really excellent pieces that we think could be in that realm. So this week we are talking about, from 2024, we are talking about the French spider film Infested, which is the second spider horror film to come out this year. The first being Sting, which is a U.S. movie. The Infested is a French film.
Okay. Did you see Sting yet?
I did. I did see it, and we can probably kind of talk about it a little bit when we do the review, because they are two very different films despite having near identical storylines. And the second film this week is also from 2024. It's a Netflix. I don't know if it's a Netflix original in terms of produced by Netflix, but it's available exclusively on Netflix. It's called What's Inside. From
the credits, it's at least made for them to distribute.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't know how much they were involved.
Yeah, I don't know if it It doesn't really matter either way, probably.
No, it doesn't. So. You can find it on Netflix is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. That's where you watch it. So we'll get into those reviews in just a moment. We'll do a little bit of housekeeping here. It is still before Christmas at the time of recording this.
Yep.
So I think this week, and then we got next week's show, which we will record on December 23rd. So we'll do one more show next week of 2024 releases, and then the week after that, we'll do our top 10 of 2024 list. If that works for you, friend.
Yeah, no, I got it. I just had to get that straight in my head.
Get the dates right.
One more watching, and then no watching for a week.
Correct, sir. Actually, probably be 2 weeks, because wouldn't the following? Oh, no. It'd just be 1 week. You're right. You are,
because we do our top of what we watched.
No, that won't be till February.
Right. Oh, okay.
That won't be till February. So technically, the OTC season ends the last show of January and starts with the first show of February.
That's right.
Approximately. As we said a couple weeks ago when we do the 17-year anniversary show where we do the top 6 and bottom 6 from the previous year, it's actually going to be the numbers don't match up like they used to, because we missed some time last week or last year.
Yeah, but that's okay, because it's been 17 years.
That's fine, whatever. It's fine. Yeah. I did want to make a quick promotion here for our friend Michael Neal. His film, Infinite Santa 8000, has been released by Synapse on a collector's edition Blu-ray.
Nice.
I just want to do this read for him here and let you guys know. Post-apocalyptic, heavy metal animated Christmas classic for all genre fans. You guys have heard us talk about Infinite Santa over the years. It's been out now for, I think, 8 or 9 years, I think.
Yeah,
it's been out. So, and it's being Christmas time. It's the time to fire that stuff up. And you always hear people talking about there not being enough good genre Christmas films. So here you go. It's the year 8000. The old world is gone. Not much remains. I feel like I should I do a voice for this? Like,
if it's easy to do. Well, he's part robot, right? So
this one? Okay.
Yeah.
Is that a little too deep?
He's talking about one. So what is this one? This is robot.
Oh, that's barely intelligible.
How about this one?
That's it's kind of 70s.
70s?
You know what I mean?
It is the year 8000. The world is gone. Not much remains except for the mutants, scum, and robo-people. Humanity has been wiped out and everyone must kill to survive. Even Santa. When his beloved Martha is kidnapped by the evil Dr. Shackleton, Santa and his robotic reindeer head out to the post-apocalyptic wasteland to rescue her. Bloody carnage ensues as Santa fights his way through hordes of mutant creatures, including bat sharks, killbots, and even a giant Easter bunny. Originally conceived as a multi-part web series, Infinite Santa 8000 has been reimagined here in an all-new feature-length director's cut, adding new scenes, reanimated and retouched shots, and recut to match the original script. See the film the way it was always intended, featuring a blasting heavy metal score, tons of blood and guts, and exciting sci-fi action. You've never seen a Christmas movie like this one. The Blu-ray from Synapse is on sale at Amazon, Walmart.com, Target.com, and other online retailers. It is also available on the Synapse website and is streaming on Tubi.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's available everywhere now. Out of curiosity, when I do this voice, if I start to talk in an English accent, does it sound more or less distinguishable?
Well, I think it depends on how fast you're talking.
Oh yeah, when I talk fast, you can't make heads or tails of what I'm saying.
But it is more distinguished, obviously.
Obviously. This is like if you're doing one of those disguised voice interviews. Somebody is selling out the company or whatnot, and you don't want them to know who you are. They're in the black silhouette, and they're like, I don't know what happened, he just shot the person.
Yep. Just make sure you never do an English accent anywhere else in that building.
I can't shut it off. What the hell? No.
Whoa. Hold on.
No, it won't shut off. What the hell? Hang on.
No, do the whole
How
show
about
like
no?
that.
Oh, don't! It's still doing it. What the hell? How about now? Oh, son of a bitch!
I like that. I think we're stuck with
I
that
thought
now.
maybe if I turned it off or like put on one of the other sound effects, it would stop, but it won't shut off.
How about now? Oh, there we go. All right.
Oh my god, that was the best.
That was legit. I did not. That
The more frustrated you got, the higher pitched it got.
that was legit. Like it
That was good.
did it on its own there. Oh, all right. Yeah. If you've never seen Infinite Santa 8000, it's a fucking wild watch. So check it out.
Yeah.
It's on Tubi, where you can also watch Survival of the Film Freaks and Safer Spaces. So, and Phantasm's up there now too.
Oh, nice.
So, or no,
Phantasm
Phantasm's
with an
not on
F.
Tubi yet. It's going to be on Tubi, but it's on
Okay.
Amazon Prime is where you can watch Phantasm.
Nice.
You can see young versions of Chris and I talking about horror movie conventions.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had a lot more hair back then. Wouldn't know I'm wearing a
I had
hat, so it wouldn't make a difference. But like, I
that's a
know
good
that I had a lot more hair back then. I'm struggling with the loss of my hair recently, and I'm having a way harder time with my vanity than I thought I was going to, and I don't like it. So,
Yeah. I can understand.
yeah.
Definitely.
No, but you still got a good head of hair, man, and you're older than me, and that makes me angry.
It's really thin.
Yeah, but you
hair.
have like you don't have like a giant landing patch in the back of your head.
No,
It says
my
land your
brother
drone
does, though.
here.
Yeah. Don't go to New Jersey.
Well, no, they were spotted over Cape Cod, man.
Oh, were
Have
they?
you been
'Cause
following the story at all?
I have, and I'm really trying not to be an Alex Jones type of person. But yesterday I did watch something, and I made my rest of my family watch it. And it starts off sounding like I'm going to go full on conspiracy theory. But give me a second.
Okay.
It's by a guy who used to teach the military and other government type organizations how to conduct psychological operations. PSYOPs, which instantly raises red flags, and Alex Jones comes running. What did you say? But PSYOPs are a real thing, and they have been done. And some of the stuff that he talked about, how to identify whether or not it's real news or an operation, is verify your coverage, make sure there are links and evidence and eyewitnesses. Don't go for if it looks like a YouTube video title where you would see an arrow in a circle, that's sensationalism. You want to stay away from that. And it started off almost being crazy talk, but it wasn't. It was about distractions happen during election cycles, during other, and he named a bunch of things, Gulf of Tonkin, a couple other
Grand Moff Tarkin,
things.
I get it.
Yeah, especially the some of the younger people that listen, not that young anymore, will remember that when Bush was going for his second election, his second term, they used the terrorist watch scale or danger scale to their advantage. So like as soon as something negative would come out about somebody in the cabinet, all of a sudden we'd be in orange again. And that's what we would worry about because fear is easy to generate for the masses.
Yeah.
And it really, all he said, it boils down to is stay skeptical, ask questions.
Yes.
Don't just accept what you're given. So no, I have no idea what the drones are about.
I don't think they're about anything. I think it's people that own drones that are just fucking with people.
And the longer it goes on, the more people can get involved.
Because I own a drone.
Yeah, I have one somewhere.
And guess what? When I fly it in the air at night, it has those same lights that you see on all of the other ones. So
yeah.
Maybe
but they're saying some of these are like 6 to 8 feet wide.
Well, yeah, the professional ones are that big. Like if you get like
I didn't know that.
The drone that I own is I own a DJI Air 2. I think is what I own. And it's when you fold the arms down, it's about a little bit bigger than like an iPhone in terms of the body size. It's a lot thicker, obviously.
Okay, yeah.
But it's like, like that.
Yeah.
Or so.
Yeah.
But you fold out the legs and it's then like, 12 inches this way, 12 inches this way, plus the body. So you got 3 feet, 3.5 feet right there. And then the version that's one level up from that is like double the size of it. So yeah, you can say, oh, they're like 6 to 8 feet, and it's really like 5.
Yeah. Some of the pictures I've seen though do show wings on some of them, and they're not airplanes. I don't know. I just want to like skip to the next chapter so I can see what's going on in this story.
Yeah, I'm convinced it's nothing. I'm convinced it's people fucking with people. Like that's 100%.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to believe. But then also we did shoot down Chinese spy balloons a couple years ago.
I mean, did we?
I don't know.
Did we really?
That's what we were told. I don't believe anything, but that's the identifiable phrase for the event.
Who was president when that happened?
That was wasn't that this guy? This old guy that we got now?
No, I thought it was Trump still.
I don't know. Hey, there are 2 robins out in my yard. Isn't it too late in the year for them?
Is it Jason what's his name? Or is it the other one?
No, it's Christopher and Winnie.
Christopher and
the
Winnie.
poo. Oh, I typed in Chinese spy drone, not balloon.
Oh, great. Now you're on a watch list.
I've already been on them.
I thought it was like towards the tail end of his.
I'm trying.
Now it doesn't exist and never actually happened.
No, now it says India shot one down not that long ago.
Oh, that was weird.
That was good timing.
That was so the buttons on this are so touchy.
This headline says U.S. China in 2024, 1 year after the spy balloon incident, and that was March of this year. So it was last year.
Oh, why does it feel like that was so much longer ago?
Because time is mean.
Time is mean. Fair enough.
I don't know.
I mean, you're not wrong. Time is mean. All right, let's get into these movie reviews. Which one do you want to do first? Do you care?
Yeah, the switching one.
The switching one. It's what's inside.
Yes.
Okay, hold on.
I'm going to grab a drink while you play the trailer.
Yep, you have 2 minutes and 21 seconds starting now.
You had mentioned that we might be playing some games tonight. Do you still want to play? Yeah, we'll play games tonight, man. Before I open this suitcase, this is just some needs to stay in this room type shit. So, no phones out or anything, okay?
Bro, that's like telling Nikki not to breathe and shit. Wait, Forbes. What is that?
You just want to take these electrodes and place them on your temples like so. Damn, bro. If you think of your brain as a hard drive, then this just transfers the files.
Oh my God.
Okay, so everybody ready? It's trippy, huh?
See that? That's my body. This game is kind of hot.
What did you sweat? What did you do? He did something. I'm freaked out right now, okay? You're acting like a different person.
Well, look at me. I am a different person.
What did you do?
It is us against them.
Oh my.
Right?
Yeah. No. I don't know. What the fuck? What is wrong with you? Hey, what the? Shut up!
What? It is us against them. Us against them. Wow.
Yeah. Trippy.
All right, it's What's Inside, written and directed by Greg Jardin. Greg Jardin also did the Cowboy Bebop, test episode, I guess, that they for Netflix.
Okay.
And he also worked on a film called Floating in 2014, among other things. So starring Brittany O'Grady. She's a recognizable face. She was in most recently in The White Lotus. I think this whatever the last season was. My wife was able to point that out.
Oh, okay.
And then all these other faces are all like younger actors that you would recognize from different things. I know James Marsoni, who plays one of the other guys, was in that Patton Oswalt thing that was on Hulu. They're just like, you can look them up. They're faces you're going to recognize. So
they're up and comers.
Yeah, exactly. So it's What's Inside. A group of friends gather for a pre-wedding party that descends into an existential nightmare when an estranged friend arrives with a mysterious game to play. Strange friends arrive with a mysterious game that awakens long-hidden secrets, desires, and grudges. So we're introduced to our...
Not that hidden.
No, really not.
Not that hidden.
No, it's all pretty upfront.
It's on the surface.
It's all pretty upfront. And we'll get into spoilers in this one. We'll let you know when we're going to, because I think I kind of want to discuss some of the specifics because the film unfortunately kind of falls apart when you do that. But you meet Shelby and Cyrus. They are a couple that have been together for an extended amount of time. She's doing a thing where she's putting on a wig. They're going to do a role play type sex thing. Only no one told Cyrus that they were going to do it. And she's being like spontaneous and trying to like do what she can for the relationship. So when she walks into the room, he's jerking off, watching porn on the computer. And then her response is, I've never understood this kind of like when someone is caught masturbating in a film.
Mm-hmm.
Why the other person responds with disgust, like it's not it's something they like
it's not something they don't do themselves,
or something they know they didn't know that it existed, or like
So I mean that's supposed to be shorthand for we're having relationship problems.
Well, yeah, and it definitely is illustrated in her reaction to him and her like disgust in him.
Yeah,
but knowing that they're having issues shows that she's not like comfortable with him and sexuality between the two of them in general. Maybe that's splitting it up a little bit too much. But her response is like, ew, gross. And meanwhile, he's then confused why she's like standing there wearing a wig trying to be somebody else. He tries to throw the proverbial man bone out there. And then she's like, you know what? Forget it. And we know, okay,
Yeah,
so
he's-
these two are broken. Like their
Yeah,
relationship.
he's not
is
very
broken.
elegant
No.
in his in his approach to relationships. He's like a cudgel.
Right. But she doesn't exactly do anything to help the situation either.
No, they're both pretty lackadaisical with the whole thing. Are they Italian police officers?
It seems that way, that they are Italian police officers from the 1970s movie with the way they communicate.
Yep.
But, I mean, and this is something that's kind of brought up front, and Mel pretty much just kind of like walked through the room when this was starting, and she's like, well, I don't like any of these people. And I'm like,
well,
yeah, we're not supposed to.
same.
We're not supposed to. But it was almost so easy to dislike everybody that it was kind of like lazy. You know what I mean?
But were we supposed to be cheering for anybody? Because I couldn't.
Well, that's a question we'll get into, because I do
All right.
believe that this film, you're not supposed to like anybody.
All right.
Or are you? We'll get there. Anyway, so he says to her, oh, maybe we shouldn't go to this wedding. And she's like, no, forget it. We're going to the wedding. And then we get this kind of montage of all the people that are going to the wedding and their like current lives through their like Instagram posts and their social media stuff. We learn that one of them is a big time influencer on Instagram. One guy just lives off his parents' money and posts like videos of him like driving around in his Lamborghini saying stuff like hitting in my Lambo. Because that's how real people talk. Well, actually, no, there's people that talk like that. And we just kind of
Nobody we know.
Yeah, we kind of get to know everybody in the shallowness of their lives, and they keep using the hashtag. What's the hashtag for the wedding? Rumeria.
It was like Rufia.
Rufia, that's
their
what it
names
was.
Mashed together, right?
Rufus
was it?
and Maria.
Oh, shit.
Is Rufia. And it's
Rufus.
just like
What
fucking.
a name.
Want to puke? I want to like.
Do you know anybody named Rufus that wouldn't be like 85 years old?
I don't know anyone named
Or a
Rufus in
dog.
general. The closest thing I know to somebody being named Rufus is the musical artist Rufus Wainwright. Who I don't even really know. And I know Mel likes him, and she made me go see him once. And I was like, all right, this is cool.
Is that his real name, though?
Well, yeah, he's
'Cause then it
he's
wouldn't
Loudon-
count.
He's Loudon Wainwright's son.
Right. Okay.
I know more than that about that stuff than I probably should. Anyway, so they're all gathering at Rufus. I think it's Rufus's parents' house,
I think so.
which is this like super opulent mansion that is just like over the top and ridiculous.
Yeah. I did like the fact that they talk about the mom was an artist and she kind of went with the more untraditional type stuff, and she made her house into an art gallery. And I'm like, see, that's the kind of shit that all you need is like a sentence or two. And then you're like, why is this taking place in I remember why it's taking place in a fucking fun haunted house.
Yeah. It explains why each
And
room
then
is so
that's it.
different.
Yeah. And that's it. That's all I need. That's all movies have to do to make me happy is one little excuse.
Yeah.
One little reason.
One little thing. So Shelby and Cyrus show up. We meet Dennis, Maya, Nikki, Brooke, and Ruben, and Beatrice. No, we haven't met Beatrice yet, but we'll get to her momentarily. So
No, she is introduced, but she's not physically there.
yeah, so we learn that the last time they were all together at this house was for a birthday party for it was for Dennis, but they all remember it as it being a birthday party for Ruben, and that kind of plays into the disdain. And this big situation happened with this guy named Forbes, who was kind of like the weirdo at school. They were like kind of friends with him, but like not, but were. We find out.
I have to say, before I say anything negative about this, the way they covered the party with the photos, I thought was really, really good, and it really played into the this is supposed to be a horror comedy.
Yes.
Because when they're like, and then so and so got drunk, and then they uncrop or unedit them back into the picture, and they pop in. Maybe it was in my head, but with like a little ding, and then like the photo would keep changing, and I like that because memories change as well.
Right.
So it was that was pretty smart.
Yeah.
That I really appreciated.
I
the
think
thought put into
overall,
it.
art direction, stylistically in this film, the way it's shot, like all of that is top notch.
Yeah.
All that's top notch. But so they're discussing this party. Forbes is at the party. Forbes also brings his younger sister, Beatrice. Now, there's some questions as to whether Beatrice was dating Dennis. or having like, just having sex with Dennis or what. Either way, she shows up at this party. She's supposedly significantly younger than them. I gathered that they were all probably like 18, 19, and she was like probably 14.
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
Right?
Which means like Dennis was sleeping with an underage girl if he was over 18, or maybe they're supposed to be 17. It's a little unclear. But either way, she gets really drunk. Some words are said. There's a fight that breaks out between Dennis and Forbes. Forbes, as we know, he's kind of the nerdy, like outcast type guy, but this all stems around Beatrice, and she gets drunk, and that's the whole thing. Is like he allowed her to come and he allowed her to get drunk. Forbes was then kicked out of school for some reason, which is your first kind of thread that doesn't make a lot of sense of like why he would be kicked out of school for something that happened at a party that had nothing to do with school.
Right. Right.
But either way, he's then kicked out of school, expelled from school, and Beatrice basically, it's explained that she's got some mental instability, she's got some mental health issues, and she basically goes off the deep end and is forced to be put into a mental hospital of some sort.
Yeah.
So we get that whole information, but then we learn that Forbes is coming to the wedding. Ruben has invited Forbes to the wedding. Everyone is kind of like, why is he coming?
Yeah.
They're all like, as we know, things did not end well. And Ruben was like, I've kind of always like felt bad about the way things happened. We were friends. I feel like I want him to be here. It's my wedding. I want him to be here.
Yeah.
So fast forward, they're all partying, they're all drinking, they're all smoking weed, they're all doing that stuff. Now, they're all supposed to be probably in their mid to late 20s, I would say.
Yeah, I would figure close to graduating college if they haven't already.
I would say probably a couple years out of college, because they kind of set that, like, because there's a lot of things that come later on, like the what have you done with your life? Would say to me that they've been out of college at least long enough to be like, you haven't done anything with your life, because that's exactly what one of them says to one of the other ones.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So they're doing their things, and then Forbes shows up in a creepy way, like by the back door, like knocking on the window, like, and they scares the shit out of them, and he comes in, and they're all like, hey, Forbes, what's going on? And it's not immediately like awkward. It's a little awkward, but not too bad.
He's fucking creepy from the get-go.
Yeah, he is.
Because they hired that actor that everybody's seen his face. When he smiles, it doesn't matter. He's up to something.
Yeah.
He's got a face that says, don't trust this character.
He looks like the dude from The Bear, but like the wrong version of him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, crossed with a minor character from Big Bang Theory.
DB Quails are one of those guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's got an inherent creep factor to him.
He has a punchable face. And I'm sorry that I say that about a real person, but
no, it's fine.
I mean,
it's fine.
He's going to make money off of that facial structure. So
that's true.
Do what you can with it, because he threw himself into it. I'll give him that.
Yeah, for sure. So he kind of gets settled in. They all kind of talk a little bit. Ruben talks to him, and he's like, I'm glad you're here. And there's definitely some unfinished business between them. Yeah. And it's kind of like, all right, well, cool. Let's all get together. And he brings out this friggin' old school suitcase.
Oh yeah. Nice 1960s.
Yeah. Like 1960s, like faux leather, patent leather, like suitcase. And one of the things that they said about Forbes back in the day was he liked to play games. Like back then they were talking about like role-playing games or like board games, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they sit down and he's like, hey, do you guys want to play games tonight? I heard you want to play games. And they're like, yeah, absolutely. So he takes out this suitcase and he opens it up and it's got this machine in it. Mm-hmm. And he's like, all right. He's like, let's play this game. And they're like, what are you talking about? He's like, don't worry about it. Like, and this is another part where like nobody really questions it. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, you take these two, if somebody was like, we're going to play a game, and he's like, here, you just take these two electrodes and you put them on your temple and I put you into this machine and then I hit a button and something's going to happen with a guy that you obviously, like, he has a history with these people and it's not good with all of them.
Yeah. This is another talk to me situation for me where I might do it the first time. Because the first time is just like a quick taste of it.
Yeah.
But I would leave. I'm done. I don't trust. There are very few people in the world that I trust enough with my body. Mm-hmm. I couldn't do it. absolutely could not do it. No, I'm not doing any experiments with people I haven't seen in years and one person that got fucked by somebody else in this group.
Right. So I'm going to say if you haven't seen this movie yet or you don't know much about it and it sounds interesting to you, stop the review here. Watch it. And
don't
come
even
back.
watch the trailer because it kind of gives away what happens next.
Yeah,
which is the crux of the film.
Yeah, and I went into this without knowing anything about it. I just know I had a couple people tell me that I should check it out and it would be good to watch for the show, and that's all I knew about it. So at this point, if you're interested, stop, watch it, come back. Okay.
Welcome back.
Yes, welcome back. Welcome back, listeners. So he hooks them up, fires this machine up, and they all freak the fuck out, and they're like looking at themselves, and then he turns it off.
They're doing the LSD hand thing.
Yeah, and then he turns it off, and they're all like, "What the fuck was that?" And we learn, and again, this is not a spoiler because if you've seen the trailer, you're into it. But I'm telling you, if you want to watch this, go into it as with as little info as you can. So final warning I'm giving at this point out, everything else is going to be spoiled as we go. Okay.
It's fine with me.
All right. So what this machine does somehow through the use of these electrodes is takes someone's being, meaning their mind, their soul, however you want to look at it, who you are on the inside, and puts it into somebody else's body.
Yep. He likens it to transferring data on hard drives.
Right. Which doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you start to think about it, because if you're the information,
no, but we're in sci-fi fantasy land here.
Because if you're
that as
transferring info from one hard drive to another, the info that's already on that hard drive stays there. It doesn't leave.
Yeah. To be fair, though, the human mind can definitely handle, I think, double a person's lived experiences up to 27 years. So it could, but it pulls, I mean, basically your consciousness, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's attached to all your memories and everything. And I don't know. It's what I really liked about the machine was how old and warm and homemade it looked.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's I think my favorite aesthetic is I had to make this from old parts, not like the original Iron Man, but like Ghostbusters, Buckaroo Banzai type stuff.
Right. Right.
And this had that feel, but it was nicely refined. All of the LEDs had bezels in them. It was all guitar chord jacks, because I forget what they're called. And it fit in the case, and it looked like it belonged in the case, and all that stuff goes a long way to selling the whole idea for me. And I thought the device, which they never really name, they just call it the suitcase. I thought that was a very well conceived piece of tech for this.
Agreed.
And with the dirty electrodes, I thought that added a really nice layer of believability to it.
Right. Yeah. And so we're led to believe that Forbes, works in some tech startup company or some sort of technical company, because he talks about when him and his team figured out how to use this, and he kind of explains, he's like, it moves around. And like the game that they like to play is you swap everyone's bodies, and then everybody tries to figure out who's in whose body.
Yeah,
fun times.
It's that game they played on The Office where you get the famous person attached to your head. And people talk to you like you're that person, and you have to guess who it is. Right. Except for real.
For real. For real. So they do a round of this where they swap everyone because, first, was it Brooke? Wait. Shelby, not Brooke. Shelby is not fully on board. She's like, I don't know. This is weird. I felt weird. I don't really want to do it. And Cyrus is like,
she's our main character-ish type person, right?
Who I guess is supposed to be the one person we're supposed to kind of be rooting for, but she fucking ruins that later in the movie. So
yeah, no, I there's nobody to root for.
No, but I felt like they were trying to make her be the one, and then they try to redeem her at the very end, and it doesn't.
Yeah, she's our touchstone for the whole thing. Yeah. She's our audience's eyes into the whole thing, and she's not a good lens.
Right. So
but whatever.
She's not on board. We know about her issues with her and her boyfriend Cyrus, and he's just like, hey, listen, just we're all doing it. You should do it. basic peer pressure thing, make her feel bad, shame her into doing it.
Yeah. And she's already uncovered text messages from him, is that right?
Not yet.
Okay. Soon though.
No, soon. I think in this first round, we learn that. But that's really such a minor thing, though. In like, well, we'll get to it in a sec. So they all swap around, and they're trying to guess. But one of the things that happens is that Forbes goes into. I think he goes into Ruben's body, and Cyrus goes into Dennis's body. Actually, the bodies don't matter, but basically Forbes lies and says that he is somebody else. They make a guess and they're like, oh, yeah. But he's actually in somebody else's body. So it sets this point where, and this shit gets real fucking confusing with who's in who in whose body, especially at the end. So they swap some stuff around and there's a lie being told. And Cyrus is in, I believe it was Ruben's body. And we learn that he had a thing for the friend Katie back in the day. And then they meet up in one room and basically kind of almost like they kiss a little bit and start to have like they're going to do something, but somebody comes in and disturbs them and it doesn't actually happen. But we've learned now that Cyrus had a thing for Katie back in the day before he got together with, why do I keep forgetting her name? Shelby.
Yeah. I wanted to say Sophia, but I knew that wasn't.
Nope, Shelby. Because there's a Shelby, there's a Brooke, and there's a Katie, and a Sophia. Well, no, we only see Sophia at the end because she's the one that's supposed to be marrying Ruben.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, she's not part of this party because it's the people that grew up together.
Correct. So now there's a point where we've got a lie being told. Somebody is in a body that isn't in one, and something happened with somebody else. So therefore, there's now kind of this like sort of triangle starting to happen. And then there's also a point now where Shelby, in whichever body she was in, discovers text messages.
Oh, right.
So if you want to, okay, so they were text messages from Cyrus about Katie. Is that what it was?
I thought it was about meeting up with the other girl. What's her face? So that they still think about each other. Basically, it was I'm not totally dedicated to Shelby.
It wasn't Shelby. It was Ruben.
I can't keep these names straight.
Because that's why. Okay, no, this gets real confusing, people.
It does.
So
On
Shelby
purpose, too.
and Cyrus are having their own problems. Ruben, who's supposed to be getting married, used to date, I think it was Brooke back in the day, the hippie. He still thinks about her.
Oh, okay. That's why he zeroed in on her
right.
when they were all talking.
Right.
Okay,
right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which makes this with separating now, which makes Shelby's decisions in the end of the movie make even less sense. But so the two of them still think about each other. So there's kind of some action going on there. Everyone guesses they switch back to their regular bodies, and now Shelby's 100% on board with doing this for whatever reason.
Which I don't get.
I don't get it either because nothing happened in that thing. Well, no, it does. No, it does make sense because she is so unhappy in her life that the opportunity to be somebody else, even just for a few minutes, is appealing to her, and she realized that in the second round because the first round they didn't take any time in this first or just like the test when they do the first full round, she starts to realize that being in somebody else's skin might be good for her because she's just unhappy because Cyrus sucks. She's a fucking wet blanket too, so like.
Yeah.
Her her moral stance that she takes doesn't make any sense because of the decisions we see her make. But so they're all partying, they're having a good time, they're smoking weed, they're doing the whole thing, and now they decide to do another round. So they do another round, but now Ruben is in Dennis's body and Brooke is in Maya's body. Because the bodies of Dennis and Maya are the two that end up with bad things happening.
Okay.
So they basically like hook up and are like, hey, yeah, let's I still think about you, and we're in other people's body. It's this whole idea that like, well, we're in other people's bodies, so it's not cheating. Like that's kind of what it is. It's like, well, one last night and it's Dennis's body and and it's Maya's body. So it's whatever. It doesn't make a difference. So
Yeah. And then there's me sitting over here going, it's not about the body.
No.
It's about the consciousness that
right?
makes the decision.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's like you're still choosing to have sex with this girl, and you're supposed to be getting married tomorrow. It's not going to change when you go back into your body because you're going to still have all those memories.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
This movie, I got to say that I'm going to forget it completely.
Yep.
This movie totally wastes a completely like childish joke. I didn't hear it. I might have missed it. But at no point does anybody say, I wouldn't fuck that person with your dick and I had the chance.
Yeah.
Like, where was that? Where was the funny? No, it was all dark comedy.
Yeah, it's a thriller. It's not really a horror film. It's a thriller with some dark humor in it. It's definitely
like
a black
sci-fi mystery thriller. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say horror, but definitely in our wheelhouse still.
For sure. So they sneak off Ruben and Brooke in Dennis and Maya's body, and they decide to have sex on the balcony, and they get so into it that the two of them fall off the balcony onto one of the art structures that, of course, has like all these pieces of like rebar and shit like coming out of it.
But they set that up as the house is crazy looking. So,
did.
rebar? Yeah, okay, fine.
They did. But the idea that the two of them were just so lost in passion that they just fell off the balcony, like.
Well, to be fair, that whole railing that they were leaning against and pushing and pushing and pushing against did break.
Yeah.
All Super Cop. No. What is it called? Hot Fuzz style.
Hot Fuzz style. So the two of them are now dead. And now this is where the crux of the like issues comes about because. Okay, so make sure I get this right. I wrote it down to make sure that I got it right. So,
okay,
the consciousness or spirits or whatever you want to look at it as of Ruben and Brooke are dead. But the bodies of Ruben and Brooke are still alive with other people in them. And Maya and Dennis's physical bodies are now dead. Think that's right.
That's we can go with that. Yeah. Because I can't.
This poses this this poses this whole other situation of, well, what do we do now? Because we can't put everybody back in their own bodies,
right?
And everyone has a different idea of what they should do. We should all go back to our bodies. Well, no. Now Shelby, who was the one that was very much like not into this to start, is now like, well, maybe let's not be so hasty because she's in Katie's body. And she's got a taste of Katie's life in terms of like Instagram followers and being like, basically, she's the super hot girl is what it is.
Yeah.
She's a super hot girl that everyone gives everything.
She's the one that her boyfriend wants.
Right. Because that was the thing, because Cyrus had a crush on. So we then learned that Cyrus had a crush on Katie, asked Katie out. She said no. And then he quote unquote settled for what the hell why do I keep forgetting her name? Shelby. He settled for Shelby. Now, I have a problem with this because they say specifically that the two of them have been dating for 9 years. Right?
I don't remember that, but
they do. They said that they've been dating for like something like 9 years. So the idea that he settled for her and then stuck with her for 9 years, just like that. I'm like, that doesn't really make sense because like we get that they're unhappy now. And basically she's like, you've been pining for Katie all these years. And like, that's not really ever proven. He ends up wanting to be with her because now she's in front of him and his wife, his girlfriend is in her body. And it's this whole like other idea of like, well, why aren't you guys getting married? And it's like, well, like, first of all, it's nobody else's business.
Well, yeah.
And second of all, like, it doesn't really make a difference. They've been together for like an extended amount of time.
Technically, that's if they live together, they're common law,
right? And there's this
Massachusetts or whatever, at least.
There's this whole idea put forth on Cyrus's character that like he's just waiting for the moment to jump ship, and that's neither here nor there. Maybe he was, but it's not really clear.
Right.
So he's all of a sudden starting to get vilified for this.
Yeah.
Dennis, who was in Ruben's body, or no, Dennis is in Cyrus's body. The two of them start jawing and fighting because now Dennis's body is dead. And he's like, well, what we'll do is you can go into Ruben's body because Ruben's dead. and then I'll go back into my body. And he's like, whoa, hang on, why do I have to go to Ruben's body? Like, and he's dealing with the fact that like his physical body's now gone.
I can't even imagine the existential spiral that would put a person into.
No, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So they're trying to figure it out, and then Dennis, who's just an asshole anyway, like he's the trust fund kid that drives the Lambo. He has all his parents' money, and like he's just a fucking asshole. Like he's just that he's that guy. He's that guy.
Yeah.
He's the prototypical white male asshole guy.
Yeah, he's your main douchebag from Friday the 13th remake.
So he then calls the police on the phone as Cyrus and is like, my name is Cyrus such and such. I killed these two people, blah, 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 blah. Hangs the phone. He's like, all right, now we can switch bodies.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, why the fuck would you do that? Because like it doesn't even make any sense. Like it doesn't, it's because it's not supposed to. It's supposed to be Dennis doesn't make smart decisions. And that's part of the argument the two of them are having, because Cyrus basically fucking puts him on blast when he's like, what have you done with your life? You've done nothing with your life. You live off your parents' money. You post photos on Instagram driving your Lamborghini, but you got nothing going on in your life. You're a worthless piece of shit.
Yeah, and the answer to that, if it's somebody you don't see all the time, is why the fuck do you care?
Yeah, what does it matter? We're not even really friends anymore. We're only here like for a wedding together. So
yeah.
But so now they're like, but now Forbes is trying to get the fuck out of there with the machine, because he's like the police can't show up here and take the machine.
Right.
And we're like, okay, well, yeah, it must be some sort of tech, but there's another whole fucking twist to the story that's coming.
This is a legitimate twist.
Legitimate twist. So if you're still listening and you don't want any of this ruined, stop.
Now leave.
Stop. So now they're all jawing for what they're going to do. And so they eventually catch up with Forbes, who's in Ruben's body. They knock him out. They tie him up.
Yeah, he tries to run away with the machine.
Yeah, Shelby does not want to leave Katie's body. Katie is in Maya's body. Maya's real body Maya's somebody's dead. I don't know. But so Katie wants to be back in her body because she likes her life. She's happy with the fact that she's an Instagram influencer and all this stuff. She's happy with it, and everyone's trying to figure out, like, trying to play their parts. So there's a point where Shelby and Cyrus are together, and she's basically like, hey, I'll stay in this body. You go in Ruben's body, and we'll take off together and start a new life or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but then there's a point where they're in a room with somebody else, and then they remember the switch earlier in the film where he was with Katie. And she's like, well, you're full of shit. You guys lied about this, and you're lying to her now. And like, then Katie comes in to talk to the guy, and that changes that. And now everything is getting switched around, and it gets really fucking confusing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're basically like, the cops are showing up. The cops are trying to break down the door. They're like, you better. So like they use like, so somebody like makes a video about how she's going to post it on Instagram against Katie to be like, oh, this is what'll happen if blah, 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 blah. And then they do a final switcheroo, and you're like, okay, so who ends up where? And this is kind of like the final, final structure. So, they fast forward a limited amount of time. Or no, they fast forward to the next morning when the police have been there and have taken Cyrus into custody. And now Dennis, then we see Forbes' sister Beatrice in a car driving to the place, freaking out, driving like a maniac. She's going to get into a fight with somebody in road rage because they cut her. Like, she eventually gets to the house, and she's got a black eye, and she's like absolutely manic.
Yeah.
And she goes up.
I liked her. I liked her character.
Yeah, I did too. So Dennis is now in Forbes' body.
Mm-hmm.
And he's sitting there because he ended up in his body somehow. She comes up and she's like, where's the fucking machine? And he's like, he's like, Beatrice, what's going on? And she's like, I'm not Beatrice.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where it all gets dumped. And you're like, and it's like, he's like, Beatrice's body says I'm Forbes to Forbes' body.
Yeah.
Because Dennis is in Forbes' body. So we then learn that he had this machine and he brought it to Beatrice's mental hospital and like switches the two of them to give her an idea to feel something else, and she fucking knocks him out in her body, grabs the machine, and takes the fuck off.
I don't blame her.
I don't either.
I mean, that is literally the best get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
Right there.
It's a great twist.
It's fantastic. Yeah. And it explains why Forbes was so fucking creepy and insistent. And there was just you can see that there's actually a master plan to the whole thing. Yep. And that saved it for me.
Yeah.
I think. I was into it when everybody was starting to betray each other and like, no, you go fuck yourself. I don't know who we are and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, in this, you can actually fuck yourself if you wanted to, but the other person in the body would have to agree.
That's messed up.
I did find it interesting that
Nobody
Forbes,
did that?
Forbes seemed to keep genders the same mostly.
Until the end, yeah.
No guy went into a woman's body in the first 2 or 3 attempts. And I thought that was an interesting, like it totally got rid of all of the bullshit of, oh, I'm going to go spend all my time in the bathroom, which is good. It's good. The only time it got threatening was when the one guy was like, all right, I'm going to pull your pants down and show everybody what you got.
Yeah, and they
to
freaked
expose
out
the person. Yeah,
they freaked out way too much over that. Like you've never seen another adult naked. Like, come on. So we got that whole twist, and now we know that what Beatrice ended up in Katie's body. Is that what it was?
I don't know.
And she's taken off to wherever. Beatrice ended up in Nikki's body, but there's another part where she stole Dennis's money.
Yeah.
When she was in Dennis's body, she took his phone, transferred like $3 million out of his account. She had the plan the whole time. It was great. It ended up working out great. So she's now in Nikki's body and she's off doing whatever.
Yeah, and if she has the device, she can be anybody.
Right.
This is literally like a low scale version of The Thing.
Now, I was really enjoying how this all kind of worked out until we then fast forward to Cyrus is in jail for the murder of the two people.
Yeah.
Now, at this point, I'm like, I can't believe that like they actually are going to let him take the fall for this. Everyone ended up where they were supposed to, or not really, but everyone ended up in a body. Nobody so they put Cyrus back. Cyrus and Shelby ended up going back into their bodies. So Shelby shows up at the jail to talk to him, and this is supposed to be like probably within like a few days, like a couple days or whatever.
Okay.
And he's like, "Hey, you've got to tell them that I didn't do this. Tell them what happened, please, whatever." And then this is the point where she decides to then hold all of the things that he did against him. And I was trying to figure out what was it that he did that was so bad for her to be like, well, I'm going to let you rot in jail for the rest of your life. And I couldn't figure it out. He potentially wanted to cheat on her with Katie, and he was willing to run away with her as Katie. And the part that drives me the most nuts about that was that's the idea that she brought to him. Like she brought that idea to him and was like, let's run away together like this. We'll start new. And then she holds it against him at the end because she's like, well, you were willing to run away with me, but only if I was Katie. And it just, if she's supposed
that part should have been left out.
Yeah. If she's supposed to be the good guy, anything good about her character for me was ruined in that moment.
Yeah. They didn't give enough buildup of what was done wrong to her, how she was harmed or slighted or whatever, for us to feel like, oh, okay, that's a fantasy justifiable reason to do this stuff.
Right. Exactly.
And movies are generally pretty good with that. If you're going to leave somebody walled up inside of a wine cellar, you got to have a good reason.
Right. And the thing too is the two of them fell off the balcony. So like, I get that Dennis made the call, but it was so easy to get around that and be like, no, they fell. And then all they had to do was be like, no, they fell. He was really drunk. He was really high. He called. He thought that
the guilt was killing him.
Yeah, he thought that he had done something, but he didn't. We saw them fall. Like they could have, like they all could have stood up, and nobody stands up for him. And at the end of the day, Cyrus is not any worse than any of these other characters. Like we learned that basically, like Dennis was completely fucking a piece of shit to Beatrice.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if anyone should have ended up in jail at the end, it should have been him. Like,
yeah.
And instead, so it kind of bothered me for a film that I genuinely really enjoyed at the end. All right, you ready to grade?
Yeah.
All right. Hang on. Oh, I forgot that I had turned the thing. All right, hey. Chris, do you recommend what is happening here? Do you recommend and what is your grade?
Yeah, I'll recommend this. But I am never going to watch this again because this is a nightmare put on screen for me. I have trust problems, and if it was people I hadn't seen in years, I don't think I could do it. Maybe the first time, because I would think it's like, oh, we're going to do like a Ghostbusters, I'm going to electrocute you thing. Okay, fine, I could take a little shock. But as soon as I was in somebody else's body for 10 seconds, I'd be like, I have a doctor's appointment. I got to go. That's too uncomfortable for me. I can't even get any kind of intoxicated or in a group of people I barely know. I have to know the people to feel safe. So knowing that if you switch into somebody's body that's been doing mushrooms, you're going to experience it, and you don't know whose body you're going into.
Oh my God.
Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan. Plus, like, what if you have something like, what if you're diabetic and the other person has no idea how to do anything about it?
Well, they did that when we learned that Katie was allergic to peanut butter.
Oh yeah, there's that.
So,
that's true. But that was used as a weapon, not as a helpful thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think there are very few people in this entire world that I've ever known, maybe a handful, that I would trust with moving my consciousness to someplace else and making sure it gets back into a physical body.
Right.
That's just me. I'm not saying anything about the honesty of other people or whatever, but in this situation, if I was one of those people and I was a dick like them, which I probably was when I was that age, no.
I don't think
it's
so.
a bad idea. So that's the hard part I have with this, is that I liked it. I don't ever want to watch it again because it just creates this panic inside of me when I think about it for a little too long.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna give it a B. It feels to me like if you wanted to give this some place for it to live, like in the movie world, I think we could have the remake of Hellraiser and the TV glowing. What's that?
I saw the TV glow.
That's the kind of world this feels like it's in.
It's not quite that arty, like the film itself, but the world.
No, but the lighting and all of that, there's a lot of time put in for all of the setup, and the sets and everything, and it's really well done. It has a really good feel. Hate the idea. I did like it when it was on Futurama because all those people trust each other. Futurama's was a little different. It was if you switch bodies, you can't switch back into the body you were just in. So there's this whole math formula that they have to figure out. Oh my God.
Sorry.
In order to get everybody back into their bodies. So it's kind of like one of those sliding puzzle games where you have to whatever. It was interesting. And I was worried this wouldn't be as interesting as that with the rules they made up, but I liked it. Enough people could figure out how the machine worked that people could fuck with it. It was all, that was thought out pretty well. Yeah. Not so much the relationship stuff like we were talking about, but yeah, B. Maybe a B+, but a B.
All right. I'm going to recommend it also. For the most part, I really did enjoy it. I loved its look. I love the camera work. The the filters and effects that are used for different parts I thought worked really well because a lot of times that stuff can come off cheesy. This didn't come off cheesy. Where it falls short for me a little bit is that I wish there was a little bit better character development before we started switching bodies, because
that's the hard part.
Yeah, I felt like if we had had a little bit more on the characters and like the type of people they were, even if we were still supposed to not really like everybody, because I gathered that we really weren't supposed to love anyone. I think Shelby was the one person we were supposed to feel bad for. But again, I felt her decisions at the end of the movie kind of tainted that. But if we had had a little bit more, and like the idea of like the backbone and the crux of it is Cyrus and Shelby's relationship. And we're given a little snapshot of that and then some information later on. But I felt as though if there had been like just some way to kind of be like, they've broken up 4 or 5 times over the years. And like, I don't know, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I just wish there had been a little bit better character development and relationships between the two of them. So some of the stuff didn't seem like it was so out of left field. With that said, though, I still think it's a pretty damn good movie. The end of it, again, although I don't agree with the decisions that were made, like it kind of makes sense. I know I said that it doesn't make any sense, but like, I mean, in the world that we're given with the characters that we're given, it kind of makes sense. So I don't think it hurts it too much. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go B, borderline B plus also. It's quite good. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again. Probably not. But I've definitely thought about it since I watched it the other day and thought about it a little bit more. And I think it potentially could sneak up a little bit more based on that. So it's What's Inside is pretty good. It's available on Netflix. Check it out now. We're going to move on to our French film for this week. Infested, the original title, Vermins. Here's a trailer that's going to probably have a lot of yelling in French.
Oh, c'est quoi tout ça, Ali, là? Quoi, ça t'intéresse, les bestioles? Oh, mais ça m'intéresse à mort. Fais gaffe quand même, hein. T'inquiète, je te dis, moi je suis un pro. Je te ramène à la maison. Let's go.
Comment t'as fait pour pécho ça?
Toi, tu dormir avec ça dans ta chambre. Non, mais tu sais qui leur parle? Pas sérieux. Je te promets, meuf.
Théo, tu te caches, Théo. Tu te fous de ma gueule.
Il a fait un malaise, c'est ça?
Sa gueule, c'était pas un malaise, ça.
Un truc qui tue aussi rapidement, c'est impossible, non?
Ce qu'il avait au bras, là, ça vient pas d'une seringue.
Si ça vient pas d'une seringue, ça vient de quoi, alors?
Vas-y. Chaud.
Faut vraiment qu'on se casse, là.
All right, Infested, available exclusively on Shudder. So the thing that I think of most people I've seen talk about with this film is the fact that Sebastian Vanasek, the director, is directing the next Evil Dead movie. That's the first thing people bring up when they talk about this.
I didn't know they were making
he got
another
that
one.
job based on his work in this.
That's fair. I can definitely see that. Yeah.
So the story is pretty simple. Residents of a rundown French apartment building are trying to escape lots of spiders.
Yeah.
You have your main character, what the hell was his name? Caleb?
I don't know.
So
There's
he's
so much yelling.
So he's hustling, he's selling shoes, but he's also buying exotic insects and stuff. He wants to open a zoo. He buys the opening sequence in this is taking place somewhere, I believe, in the Middle East. They're basically going out and catching these spiders. We see them going through and like lifting up the rocks and trying to find them. And there's a whole lot of allegories and a whole lot of stuff going on in this movie, which we'll get to, but we'll talk to it in terms of what's actually just in the movie first. They find a nest of these spiders. They use some gas to gas them out. One of them jumps and bites the guy that's trying to get them out, and then everybody else starts to catch them. And then one of the guys kills the other guy just to put him out of his misery because he's freaking out after the bite.
Yeah.
Now, unlike Earth versus the Spider or Sting or any of these other big spider movies, this is not necessarily a big spider movie. They're hundreds and thousands of regular sized spiders with a few that get bigger, but not like, we're not talking like the size of a dog or anything like that.
Well,
not really, no.
There's like 3 by the end.
Maybe.
Because there's that one in the face-off with the car.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that's the biggest they got.
Right.
And we're talking like mid to, not toy dog, but the body size is probably toy dog size. And then
but with the
legs extend out like 6 feet on each side because it's a fucking spider.
Yeah. And they're huntsman spiders. They're like supposed to be like an actual spider breed. It's not like Sting the fucking spider came from outer space or whatever. These are supposed to be actual huntsman spiders, which are a venomous spider that can kill you. So
and are known for biting humans.
Yep.
Which is
an overly
helpful in your spider movie.
Yep. They're an overly aggressive breed. But in general, spiders leave you alone. You know, there's the whole story of like, they're more scared of you than you are of them. And I'm like, I doubt that, but because there's one thing that gets me, and like small insects and spiders in horror films scare the shit out of me, like make my skin crawl. What about you?
I'm okay if it's one, like one spider. But once it starts to be groups and you can't keep track of all of them and they're moving so fast and they scuttle and make all that, no, fuck that.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I also love another thing that they did really good in this movie is there's at no point do the spiders start to like roar or growl at people. Like,
yeah, no, they make some noise, but they're like, okay, maybe a giant spider would make that noise.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a little predator clicking. It's a little bit of hissing. I mean, they technically breathe, so, but it's not the typical 50s or whatever noise spiders made back then. They don't do that. It's more like real animalistic kind of, I'm here, you're fucked kind of noises.
Yeah.
Which I liked.
Yeah. So Caleb's our main guy here. He goes and he buys one of these spiders. It ends up in the back of some pawn shop. And he buys it, and the guy, like, there's no like, hey, that's like super venomous and it could hurt you and be very careful because they breed. There's no like, he's just like, hey, be careful with that. And he's like, yeah, don't worry, as he puts it in a shoebox.
Yeah, because essentially this is Attack the Block with spiders.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Not in a bad way, because they do it differently, so that's okay.
So Caleb brings it back. He puts it in a Nike box and leaves it on his thing. He's into the animals. Like, he doesn't like, he respects them and like shows genuine care for them. He's not trying to hurt them in any way, but he takes really bad care of them.
Yeah. Well, the sister doesn't help, who keeps turning off all of his heat lamps and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's the dynamic between him and his sister. We learn their mother's recently passed away. She's trying to redo the apartment they're living in to sell it. So that they can get out of the like basic, like, you know, they're living in the slums of France. And that becomes a big part of this because as the fight, shocker, spoiler alert, spider escapes.
Oh yeah. Surprise.
Lays a bunch of eggs. Now we got a whole bunch of spiders.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole thing is basically based on that, like, the spiders are only reacting to the humans at first. Like, they're just reacting, like, and then they don't get aggressive and start going after them until the humans actually more like start to attack them.
Yeah.
So it's the idea that like this species is fine until you fuck with it. And they inadvertently,
that makes sense.
Yeah. And they inadvertently fuck with it only because they're so fucking frightened of it. Because it totally makes sense. It's the same thing. Whereas like, if like I was walking around in the woods and all of a sudden a snake came out, like, yeah, I'm fucking scared of that snake. And I'm gonna like, so that's the whole kind of thing. We learn, you know, there's the different friends, and I don't think we need to get into the relationships because most of these characters really aren't too fleshed out, other than the one friend. We learned that Caleb had an iguana who bit the friend and it ended up fucking his leg up.
Yeah.
And so there's this whole, like, they haven't forgiven each other really yet. And like this whole thing that comes into play later on, which ends up being a pretty heartbreaking scene when one of them ends up getting got by the spiders.
Yeah, because they all do.
Yeah. At some point. So the spider escapes and, gets out of his room, ends up in this guy that buys a pair of shoes from Caleb, ends up in the shoe. And this is after we had an interaction with one of the neighbors downstairs where the neighbor's like, oh, you're selling drugs. He's not selling drugs. He's selling shoes. Like, he's not doing it. Maybe the shoes are counterfeit. Maybe the shoes are stolen, whatever. But like, this guy's basically, yeah, whatever. You're a piece of shit. You're selling drugs. You're a scumbag. So we know okay, so that neighbor's an asshole. And we know that's going to come back because then he's the asshole. So therefore he's going to be probably one of the first ones to get spidered up.
Oh yeah. If you're in everybody's business, everybody's business is going to get in front of you. And
yep. So the guy goes to put on the shoes that he just bought, and the spider's in one of the shoes, and he gets that spider and squishes it and is like, yeah, well, that's fucking crazy. And then like thousands of little baby spiders come running out of the shoes and fucking all about him.
He gets to be an extra in the mist.
Yeah, seriously. So the whole thing is that the spiders then lay the eggs in the victims, and then they hatch, and then there's more spiders. And like, before we know it, this film is overrun with hundreds of thousands of spiders.
Yeah.
The police show up because they find this guy dead. The police then quarantine the building in a very, very reminiscent of Wreck. I felt heavy Wreck vibes of them being quarantined in the building. And they're basically like, don't talk to anyone, don't see anyone. We don't know who's affected because they didn't know what was happening at this point.
Right.
And then as the spiders start to become a bigger part and they get into the duct system and like take everyone out. But then the whole point of like, they get to the basement and they're trying to get out and the police won't let them leave because they're quarantined. And rather than like explain what's going on, the police just start fucking roughing them up. Because the whole major allegory for this film is the class system in France and how the lower class, quote unquote, poor people are treated by the police in the more upper class, and how like out of sight, out of mind type.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the Caribbean countries where they paint the slums in bright pastel colors.
Yeah.
To trick the tourists.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. So how did you, I mean, you like creature features more than me.
Yeah.
How are you feeling on this?
I thought the spiders, they chose, I mean, not because of what it can do in terms of looks. The huntsman spiders is very
terrifying,
aggressive looking.
I think terrifying is the word you're looking for.
Yeah, like there's some like those little jumping spiders that people do videos with where they make them talk and stuff. Those are cute. Those are fine. I'm fine with tarantulas, but the ones with the pointy legs, the long pointy legs, and especially the ones with the hard exoskeleton, not the furry kind of. But that's not what this is. This is a little bit of fur, but these are creepy looking spiders to start with. So it was pretty good. And they didn't go crazy with the size. Like they didn't go Resident Evil video game, like full size of the room tarantula. In Code Veronica, there's a scene in hallways where you hear the skittering of the hard pointed legs of some of them, like an orb weaver or something like that. And when it comes running around the corner, it's maybe mid shin height to a little taller.
Yep.
But they move fast, and that's the same kind of feeling I got. Like we all know that, like school used to tell us, oh yeah, giant spiders can't exist because the gravity would crush them because of the exoskeleton. Fine, great. How big can they get? And then this movie pretty much went, oh, they can get this big. Fine, we'll do that big.
Yeah,
because you can't have big ass spider or 8-legged freaks and expect your unprepared apartment dwellers to be able to get away from that.
Now, I don't know what the gestation period for a spider egg is, but my biggest issue with this film was the fact that it all happens within the span of a few hours. And each spider batch is bigger than the last, but yet how long, like if a spider lays an egg sac, how long does it it's not like 10 minutes, right? Like I'm assuming it's got to be at least a day.
Yeah, let me see. It's got to be. I mean, I don't think things. How long does it take? It may take the eggs up to 3 weeks to hatch, and during this period, the female may become aggressive while protecting her egg case. Once the spiderlings have hatched, the female huntsman will often stay with them for several weeks. So that makes sense. The larger ones with the smaller ones.
Makes sense, except for the fact that this whole thing takes place within a few hours.
Yeah.
And that's the problem I kind of started to have when I was like, okay, I'm like, they're presenting this as real as it could be.
Right.
Except for the fact that like there were so many, they could have like the spiders could have been laying egg sacs for weeks before they hatched. Like it didn't have to all take place immediately. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that kind of bugged me, but I was really impressed with the way this was shot and the way that the spiders were presented with the use of footage of actual spiders. And then also, the CG spider stuff. It's a very dark film, but it has to be a very dark film because of the idea that they're locked within this rundown apartment building. They set up some really interesting stuff with like the lights being on timers and turning on and off. And then using the fact that like the spiders won't move in the light or whatever. They use that stuff very well. And there's this incredible scene in the last third where they slowly walk their way through a hallway that is infested with the spiders all up and around, with like webs all up and around, and they're walking through and they're able to get through, and then they get to the other door and realize that the police aren't going to let them out, and then they have to walk back through the fucking hallway.
Yeah.
My skin crawled so bad watching that scene because like I'm like, oh, they're going to drop on their backs and be like, I'm like, this is fucked up, like messed up. So I really liked how it was shot. I loved the way its look. I loved its feel. It builds a good amount of tension, a nice amount of jump scares. And I like jump scares in films like this because like, you would jump if a scary looking spider falls on you. Like you're going to jump. So like,
and it also makes sense logically to have them have a jump scare in this kind of thing.
For sure. But the look I thought was great. Soundtrack with the music was great. It's very French. Like you compare this movie to Sting, which is the other big spider movie that came out this year. That's an American made film. And it's funny and it's played for laughs and it's that like campy horror. There's nothing campy. There's nothing laughable about this film. It is dark, angry, and terrifying from like the second it starts to the second it ends. And I do have to say, and I'm like, I know I started the review by like, oh, everyone talks about how this guy's going to direct the next Evil Dead movie. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
The way this is presented and the way this looks, I'm like, he could make a really fucking good Evil Dead.
And I like the last two Evil Dead that they made from different directors. So
Evil Dead Rise I was not as high on, but like, I think it could be really good.
I thought I liked it more than the very first Evil Dead. That's probably my least favorite of the whole series.
Oh yeah. I agree with that.
I thought the woman, the mother in Rise, she was fantastic. She put that makeup on and she just changed into a monster. Like for real. Like she had a really good face for it.
Anything else you want to add about this before we grade?
Yeah, the spiders is CG, and at no point do you think, oh, look at that CG.
Right, no.
They were very solid, especially the one that you get a really good look at in a very tense scene that I thought was really well done. That was surprising that they take a moment in this whole thing and everybody just has to like calm down and stop to be able to survive. I thought that was neat. So that's all I got there.
All right, well let's All right, Chris, you recommended was your grade. I gotta move that button too. That one never stops.
I will recommend it. It's pretty fun. I don't have any issues with decisions that were made because they do try to make the right decisions, and then you see why they're stopped or unable to do it, and it's all pretty reasonable. It does say, as I was skimming through facts about spider egg hatching, that heat can actually help them hatch faster, but it looks like inside 2 weeks is almost unbelievable.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I mean, all you had to do was a little bit more of him going and doing stuff, getting shoes, selling shoes. And you just do that a couple of times. You show it sunny, you show it nighttime, you show it raining. There's 3 different days at least. Time passed. And that could have just been a 5-minute montage. And every once in a while, you just click back to the spider sitting inside the shoe, just waiting.
Yeah.
But we're also talking about giant spiders, so it's not that believable.
Right.
Hopefully. I hope that never happens. I got over the this is just Attack the Block with shittier characters. Because it isn't. It's Wreck. It's all of that all at the same time. You're trapped in a building with something that wants to kill you. And I mean, it's 10 little Indians, isn't it? It all comes down to
it's
that.
all the same at the end of the day.
But they made this well enough that I'm not gonna. I don't think you should compare it to anything else because it's pretty solid on its own.
Yeah.
And I was happy about that. I really wasn't into watching this all that much because I'm like, ugh, come on, spiders. Oh, subtitles. I'm not in the mood for that.
Spiders
Not that
and
I hate subtitles. If I'm tired, I don't want to do that. That's too much of my attention in like 6 different places.
That's fair. That's fair.
But I watched it when I was awake and I was ready, and I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. Because spiders aren't that scary to me.
Fucking scare the shit out of me.
I mean, I don't like them in real life, but in a movie, they're not that scary to me.
Well, see, I wouldn't have an issue with like the giant. I watch a giant spider movie and I'm like, okay, yeah, that doesn't scare me. But like this was like they were little and like everywhere
That's
and
true.
all over everything.
I think I had one of those immersion technique things happen to me where like it just overloaded me and it doesn't bother me so much anymore. About 5 years ago, we put our air conditioner back in the window. And when I went to turn it on, thousands of baby spiders shot out onto me. And I think they're finally all off of me. But they were doing their balloon drifting thing. Like they were flying around the room, all little baby like jumping spiders or whatever. And that was too many spiders.
Yeah. Yeah, that's too many spiders.
So I'm not that freaked out by them anymore. You get, your chest and face get spiders on them, and you're kind of like, yeah, I'm done. These guys are fine.
I can't. Stop. Give me a grade, quick.
I'll give this I'll give this a B+.
Okay.
Because I was impressed with the restraint they showed with the size. Because when there's that last shot where you hear the clicking, not the last shot, but you hear all the clicking and stuff coming from the black doorway, I expected to see like you know how big a slice of bologna is, right? Imagine like that is the width of the leg that would come out, and like it would grab the edge of the doorway and pull its body through, and it'd be a giant spider. They didn't, and I was really impressed with that. Because it would have been really easy. Oh, hey, look, the dad grew up to be, or the mom grew up to be a giant spider. No, it's just the size of a scooter.
All right.
So yeah, that was good. The restraint really impressed me and made it feel more realistic.
Agreed.
So yeah, B+ and a recommend. Why not?
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna recommend it also. It looks incredible. Like it's shot so well. There's some really great, interesting shots with some camera movements that aren't like, the norm.
It's really grimy and gritty.
Yeah,
too.
it's just the look and the feel and everything about it is perfect for what they're doing. And we didn't mention it too much, but I really do like the idea when you start to kind of split hairs with it and you see that the social commentary that he's got going on here where the poor people are pushed to the outskirts of town, and they're not part of like the city, and just like the spiders are just fighting for survival. They're just fighting for survival. I watched a quick interview with the director and he talked about how he grew up when he was growing up, he lived in like, an outskirt like that, in like a poor area or whatever you want to call it. And really wanted that to kind of be the backbone of the film. And I think it works really well. And it's in the end of the film too, where they destroy the building and like we see that it's just the like push it aside, nothing to see over here. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So I think all of that worked good. I think the characters could have used a little more flushing out. There's a number of them that are just there to be eaten by spiders.
Yeah.
And other than that, though, I mean, I thought it was pretty good, man. It got under my skin. It made me cringe. It made me jump. I felt uneasy the whole time. Every time they'd walk into another room, and like, it did exactly what they were trying to do. And I think it was really well done in terms of a directorial debut. It's fucking incredible.
This is his debut.
This is his debut. Yeah, his feature debut.
That makes it more impressive.
Yeah,
definitely.
it's crazy. You know, it's crazy. It's better than Sting.
Okay.
Did you watch Sting?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so.
I don't want to review it on the show because we just did this one and the stories are so similar. But if you get a chance to watch it before the end of the year, check it out. I'd be curious. I enjoyed this much more. So,
all right.
There you have it. That's Infested. That's available to watch on Shudder. I almost said it's available to watch on Shaw's.
Well, maybe one day.
All right. So now I need one day you can see it. So we got Joe. He's doing Tremors 2 tonight, right?
Should be, yeah.
All right, well, let's see what he got.
Hello, Bill. Hello, Chris, and hello, OTC Nation.
Hello.
Your boy Joe here, and this week Bill took me to someplace even drier and dustier than he did last week, because he made me watch Tremors 2, Aftershocks. There's a cute scene in the beginning of this movie after they quickly explain away Kevin Bacon's absence, and his Temu quality replacement is trying to convince Earl to join him to hunt graboids for $50K a head. Earl is griping about not making the most out of his fame and apparently fleeting fortune that he got from discovering and then extincting the giant worm monsters. He points to a nudie poster on his wall of Miss October 1974 and says it's a reminder not to chase after things he's never going to get. The way they wrote it, the way it's acted, it's all really good. And it puts over his gruff cowboy exterior while exposing the beaten down dreamer inside. It also reminded me that this wasn't just some throwaway straight-to-video sequel. It's actually pretty good. While we're on the topic of things that we're never going to get and movie sequels, in the late 80s, a Big Trouble in Little China sequel would have made my youth. Would have made my year, would have made my decade. Now, it's about as wanted and needed as a hemorrhoid. Also would have been nice, a Flash Gordon sequel. Best we got there was a cameo in the Marky Mark Teddy Bear movie. A little more modern. Can we please get a District 9 sequel? Please and thank you.
It's not going to happen.
Like, I fucking cried at the end of that movie.
Wuss.
More relevant to this movie, I get why they didn't make a Remo Williams sequel, but it would have been nice. They would have sold at least one ticket to a young Joe Harvey. I mean, shit, The Last Starfighter, Dog Soldiers, Galaxy Quest, Krull, The Goonies, Dread, True Lies,
well, there's
The
a Goonies
Last
sequel
Dragon.
coming.
Wait.
What?
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon. All of those deserved more. And with guys like Fede Alvarez and Dan Trachtenberg out there making great sequels to movies they loved, I don't know, maybe we'll get there. Probably not with Remo Williams, though. Anyway, speaking of Remo Williams, he's down on his luck when a kid dressed the way studio executives thought kids dressed in the mid-90s, complete with fingerless gloves, shows up with a Mexican oil field suit. That's not the setup to a joke, I swear. Graboids are being very eco-conscious and hindering oil production, and that just won't do. Remo does the math and decides that a long weekend in Mexico with the most annoying road trip partner you can think of is worth it for $50,000 a wormhead.
Pauly Shore?
It's mitigated when the new science lady is milfy Canadian actress Helen Shaver, wearing jeans made for someone slightly smaller in the seat than she is, and boy, she is working that shit. Like, the whole first, third of this film is a pretty decent, actually kind of a workplace comedy, just in an unlikely workplace. It's like Office Space, but instead of like outstanding character actor Gary Cole, it's like the big old fuck off prehistoric John Holmes worms. You know, that old trope.
Yeah.
In a shocking turn of events, what works at first suddenly doesn't. and the worms smarten up. Who could have seen that coming? They call the guy you would only call in the movies, because in real life, the conspiracy theorist gun nut who does nothing but watch war documentaries and use military jargon is about as much fun to be around as Diddy on party night.
Fair enough.
Like between rants about freedom, but then voting for fascists, the anti-vax rants that they read on the internet, or saw on YouTube, something about lizard people and pizza parlors. I'm just going to go over here and jump into this worm's waiting fucking gullet. Thanks. I'd rather be worm food, bud. Let that sink in. The turns get tabled a second time when the worms turn out to be, I don't know, kind of more like caterpillars. And one of them gets a reverse tauntaun happen to them. And the next evolution of Graboid bursts out of it like a xenomorph. And the thing that comes out is like a cross between the OG worm monster and like a ostrich. But like only if it was imagined through the lens of one of H.R. Giger's wet dreams.
Gross.
It's a rehash of the first movie, I'll grant you, but with the added annoyance of having to figure out how to hunt these ones. Like, this is where being a homebody does me good, and I know this will never happen to me. Hey, Joe, do you want to go to the Southwest where it's hot and dry like all the fucking time? No. But we're hunting these deadly, deadly creatures. Is there Fallout 76 there? No. Yeah, I'm good. Have fun. But you like guns. I do, but I don't like killing things or conversely being killed. Y'all be safe. Don't forget the sunscreen. And Joe lives to
I'm a
see
huge
another
fan of
sequel.
not being killed.
Yeah. I think I'm allergic to
This
getting
is just
killed.
as thrilling and fun as the first movie. And if I'm honest, I make fun, but in real life, this situation would have me shitting my pants. See above, I'm a homebody. Which, to be fair, they have never tried shitting their pants as a means to deter these beasts. I'm just saying, you never know till you try.
That's true.
They saved probably 20% of the budget on this for the finale when they have all the little ostrich and or chicken graboids in a warehouse and blow it all the way the fuck up. Like, it's actually pretty impressive, even in terms of like straight to video movie explosions. Like, it's big. The best part is the science lady that has the hots for Remo Williams literally is Miss October 1974.
Ha! Love it.
So I guess the moral of this movie is dream big, even if that dream gets released straight to video. Here's the thing, the good. It's just as fun with cool, gross monsters and comedy and action as the first one. And it only took them 3 years to get this off the ground. I'm looking at you, Tim Burton, with your just okay sequel to a movie that I loved. The bad. The monsters are half practical and half CGI. And while this was made around the time of Jurassic Park, looking at the CGI graboids, I'm guessing they did not quite have the funding to use industrial light magic, and boy, does it show.
Oh, you don't say.
Yikes. Tremors 2 is going to get a B+, A- hybrid grade. It kind of teeters back and forth between the two. I will be back next week with Tremors 3, which I know I've seen, but I remember fuck all about, so it'll be like new. Until then, be good, everyone.
Thank you, Joseph. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, now we got to find Reverend Scott. I still don't have a new iPad, so I'm doing everything off of my phone. All right, Reverend Scott.
I just wanted to start out this week by letting you know that I like mustard more than ketchup.
It's random.
I know. It really is. What?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. With Reverend Scott.
The atmosphere in this is palpable. No, it's they palpable.
Hey there, Bill and Chris. This is Reverend Scott.
Certifiably creeptastic.
Why, thank you, Bill. And this week, much like Gladiator Roman numeral 2, I have yet another movie that's 24 years in the making. And again, I have some thoughts. And as much as I'd like to dive right into that flick, I need to see how you guys did last week on your reviews first.
I have shit to do, and I'm not telling you what it is, and you're not going to stop me from doing it, so go do whatever the fuck you want. You have to come back here eventually.
Fear not, I will. But first, let's talk about
2024's Exuma,
which online is described as an occult thriller. Does the plot back that up?
You have a group who basically come in and they're geomancers, and they come in and they exhume.
I mean, that's what it boils down to.
Riveting explanation there, guys.
And this movie plays out almost like two films in one, whereas your midway point, they solve one problem and discover they have another one that is actually probably a bigger one.
Kind of like getting through most of this show only to find out you have to listen to my segment still. But I've seen other occult South Korean films like The Wailing, so I know a thing or two about how much gets packed into these movies.
This is a dense film.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on, but also nothing going on.
I don't know what that even means.
Where's her teeth?
Yeah.
I don't know that either. What I do know is Bill knows a lot more than me about this particular film, mainly because he watched it more than once.
And if you're not really paying attention, some of these things can get past you, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, what the hell's going on? I'm not going to say that happened to anyone. And they had to rewind 20 minutes and go back and be like, ah, shit, I wasn't paying close enough attention. Now I'm lost.
Exuma sounds like a very interesting movie that I will have to go check out for myself. It'll probably get an A just for wasting so much of Bill's time. I really liked how the spoilers came after the grade in that review. So for that, the review also gets an A. Moving on to a movie I definitely know all about. It's because I've seen it already.
Oddity, no, stop.
I'm not done yet. Oddity was one of those films I was excited to see from the moment I saw the trailer, which I think showed just enough to pique your interest without going too deep into the plot.
I just saw you outside. Someone went in the house while you were getting something out of the car. You're in danger. Let me in and I'll help.
And to be fair to her decision about not letting this creepy one-eyed freak into her home, what the fuck was he doing outside her house watching her in the first place? Irregardless, despite how confusing, complicated, or artistic this movie seemed in the trailer, what we got is a much more straightforward type of revenge and supernatural story. It has one of the best jump scares I've seen in quite a long time, and lots of creepy shots of that golem and this kind of creepy yet really cool house. It has an intense slow build-up and a wonderful payoff at the end. I appreciated the simplicity and especially the atmosphere of this film. So for all that, I give Oddity an A-, and the review gets an A- as well. And I'm sorry your reviews this week most definitely paled in comparison to these two films. And speaking of paling in comparison, I saw a movie trailer in front of my showing of Heretic that really got me excited. A new horror comedy that goes back over 2 decades to a time I remember quite vividly. And plus, this nostalgic, funny romp into bloody fun was being produced by Jonah Hill and released by A24. It can't miss. So I'm the type of guy that's definitely not going to miss opening weekend of Y2K.
He's that kind of guy.
We have Jaden Martell from the movie It playing Eli, Rachel Zegler from Shazam and the upcoming live-action adaptation theatrical disaster Snow White playing Laura, and Julian Dennison, the foul-mouthed, fire-tossing kid from Deadpool 2 playing Danny. Seems promising so far, right? Oh, you sweet, naive idiots. Well, from the jump, it's straight up South Park member berries nonstop, from Windows 98 to AOL Messenger and every second saturated 1990s music. It was like a time machine to a simpler world.
Yeah, it's happening.
Yeah.
Eli and Danny are best friends. They rent videos at the video store and sneak into the adult section with the hippie working there and talk about Eli's crush, Laura. Laura is a popular girl that also just so happens to talk to the nerd because she's also a coding whiz in secret. She invites Eli to the school jocks 1999 New Year's Eve party, also known as the soon-to-be beginning of Y2K. That's the name of the movie. And if for some reason there's someone listening that doesn't know, Y2K is when the world feared a massive computer shutdown might happen, and like all the jails would release all the criminals and all the planes would fall out of the sky and your car would throw up or something. And it's just all due to the first time computers ever experiencing the year beginning with a number 2 instead of a number 1.
Oh, I don't know if I knew that.
After some pretty funny interactions and a few cringe ones, Eli and Danny decide to reluctantly go to that party. Danny thrives at the party while Eli just kind of cowers in the corner. And at the stroke of midnight, Eli tries to go find Laura for that special kiss, and he finds Laura in the kitchen kissing the jock. Yuck. So he says,
"Fuck this, I'm out of here."
That's when you hear a scream upstairs. A boy lays on the floor of the bedroom with part of the ceiling fan sticking out of his head. The girl in there swears it was the Sealy Posturepedic adjustable bed that threw him into it. That's when a super creepy robot rolls up comprising of like a Barbie car and a Rector set and a Tamagotchi, and it proceeds to hold up a lighter and shoot hairspray into the girl's face, melting it off. That's when all hell breaks loose. We start to see more and more electronic devices murdering kids left and right and drilling into their skulls, and all kinds of creepy robots that look like they're something out of the movie Virus. Even the CD player is spitting CDs into people's faces like it's Hellraiser 3. It's like getting attacked by the ghosts of technology past.
They're gonna come back and haunt your ass.
And about this point, maybe like 30 minutes into the film, you're thinking, this movie is pretty fucking good. This is exactly what I was expecting from that trailer. Okay. Unfortunately, that's because this is the peak of the film, and it's kind of old downhill from here. Arguably, the most entertaining character is killed at this point, and we're left with mostly cringe humor, several wooden performances, nonsensical decisions by several characters, white people doing 90s freestyle raps.
What the hell?
Constant 90s music drops, and a cameo that develops into a full character in the film, but he's playing himself, of course. I don't know if I should spoil this, but considering the constant advertisement for his band plastered in almost every scene, I don't even consider it a spoiler at this point. Fred Durst shows up and spends the rest of the film with the remaining characters in the cast. And look, I get this was January 2000, but cringe doesn't begin to cover some of the dialogue in the remainder of this film. I can see Jonah Hill now, just huddled into a small room with the writers coaching them on the script.
Sit still and think of dumb shit.
We find out the robots are basically wanting to use humans in the same way the machines did in The Matrix, which just came out in 1999. What a shocker. And if you don't become fuel for the robots, you get a chip implanted into your head and become a zombie or something. Even Eli's parents, who just so happen to be Tim from Tim and Eric and Alicia Silverstone, are in danger. How will we ever defeat the robots? If only we had a popular girl that's also a coder and a reference to how we defeated the aliens in Independence Day, all while Fred Durst does a live rendition of his cover of George Michael's Faith to a crowd of adults waiting to be zombified by the robots in a school gymnasium as a distraction.
Okay, we're going down there. I don't know if there's rails left, but we'll see. Get it? Because it could go off the rails.
I get it.
Tried.
And you tried harder than the writers of this film did, Chris. Man, for how much I laughed at the first, 1/3 of this movie, I had such high hopes, only for them to be dashed every minute I continued through this movie. It's competently made, and if you grew up in the 90s, you'll get that nostalgia itch scratched until it starts to bleed. And there's a few fun kills and a handful of laughs afterwards. So if all that sounds like your bag, I guess I recommend seeing this on streaming for free. And I give Y2K a C+ at best. Well, that was disappointing, especially for an A24 flick. Probably the worst entry in their catalog so far. Yet, I've been talking about this movie for way longer than I ever imagined I would. Probably way longer than you ever wanted to hear about Y2K. But at this point, I don't know what you're going to do about it.
What are we going to do about it? You're going to shut the fuck up about it is what we're going to do about it.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So until next nostalgia-filled 90s cringe fest, peace and love, guys. Outside the Cinema, the only podcast that can't find her teeth.
Where's her teeth?
I don't know.
All right. One more show this year of reviews, and then we'll be doing our top 10 the week after that. If you want to send us your top 10 films of 2024, feel free. You can email them to that's my personal email address. OutsideTheCinema@gmail.com, or you can post them on our Facebook group if you want to do that. We'd love to have them. We'll read them on the show. And yeah, I mean, that's really it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, nobody else cares about any of the other stuff. Patreon.
No.
I mean, if you're not signed up for the Patreon, consider it. We'd appreciate it.
Please. We'll say please this time.
Yeah, please.
Once a year, we say please.
So, cool. So we'll be back next week, everybody. And if, yeah.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
We're good.
Later.
Bye.